You know those sticky hands you used to get from the quarter machines? Like they go forever. My colon prolapses like that. So.
Welcome back to I'll See Myself Out. It's going to be a short one. My name is Dan Lisho.
I'm Ryan Patel.
I'm Terry.
And I'm Norm.
Consider these your only warnings.
There will be foul language.
There's going to be spoilers.
There will be foul language.
This week on I'll See Myself Out, we're discussing the movie Say Anything, which is perfect for this group of comrades.
Because we literally say anything. Is that too much? Should we are we trying to go like...
You know what? I think that's all anybody needs to know about this movie.
We're doing best scenes.
We are doing the best scenes.
I thought we were doing breast scenes.
There was no breasts.
That's true.
Starring Joan Cusack.
And John Cusack.
The Cusacks.
It's more John than Joan in this one, that's for sure.
Take your sister with ya.
Every time you see a movie with John Cusack in it, she's tagged along like some little pain in the ass sister.
But she's also awesome.
I think the female lead in this movie is as much, if not more, of a main character than John Cusack.
Can I interject for a second? Is it Cusack?
Cusack.
So have I been saying it wrong the whole time?
It's the prequel to 2012, or 2012 is the sequel?
Same universe. Yeah.
It's the 2012 cinematic universe.
I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I put the movie on today. I saw about 20 minutes of it and then realized I was late for a meeting. I got as far as, "You must chill."
Arguably the best scene. So let's start there. My favorite part of the movie was the character embodiment of John Cusack's. The full-on, you must chill. I fucking love this character. I didn't like the movie, but I loved his character.
I do like in that entire scene that they actually, one of those like adult moments where he's got the bag of keys, the keymaster. I'm like, wow, even in the 80s, they thought about don't drink and drive. Like, wow, I'm really impressed by that.
I had like no expectations. I knew it was kind of a coming of age movie, and I'm past the coming of age. I've came of the age. I thought, what the fuck could young John Cusack teach me? And I realized at the end it was a lot. You can get on a plane with a girl you barely know and start a life teaching British kids how to kickbox. And then I realized how pointless my life is. Thanks, John.
The most iconic scene of him holding up the boombox.
I didn't understand what that had to do with anything. Was that his attempt to get her to want him back?
And he's like, oh, remember me kind of feeling shit.
This movie actually took a very serious tone at one point. I don't know, I guess out of the scenes that I like the scene where they're sitting at the dinner party, her father and his like accountant. There's sort of that like stereotypical like putting pressure on the boyfriend scene of like he has to have the whole outlook on life and he has to like prove that he's like grown up and mature. He's like a 19-year-old, by the way, and if you meet any 19-year-old now, you're lucky they're not masturbating in front of you. But I guess back in the 80s, it's like they need to have their whole life figured out. The reason I like that scene, just to put some clarity to it, was it really outlines how his character subverts the expectations of what a young person at that age is supposed to have, because I feel like it was even worse then than it is now, because at that point they came fresh off the boomer generation of have everything figured out by like 20 and like have a family, have a house, have kids by that time. The father in that family kind of made that expectation. He kind of embodied like that boomer mentality, I guess.
You guys have all got significant others. Whenever you sat down, the first time you met your significant other's parents, did they ever like grill you to the point of what they were with him? And I found that so completely unrealistic.
If by significant other you mean Norm and me, when he introduced me to his parents, they just accepted me right away.
It's true. I was there.
No real random questions, no grilling.
There was a grill.
Yeah, it was a barbecue though. We had sausages.
It was actually what we fondly now refer to as the sausage party.
I also can't relate.
I've been in that situation. Like I once dated somebody whose father was like a corporate lawyer, and it was just like buckets of sweat around the dinner table. Aside from that, I think I liked the parts where John Cusack actually played somebody who like was kind of like having fun with the role, especially when he was like teaching the kids to like punch and stuff like that. And the scene where he's training outside on the balcony and like his nephew is like mimicking him and trying to help him out. If I had to put my finger down on like at least the scenes that I did like about this movie, at least their relationships like seemed like optimistically healthy for what it was. They were both just like two young people who wanted to have a relationship that like kind of had to find like a compromise between where they wanted to go and where they were. Although I would say like maybe the thing that does set this couple apart in the story is the fact that John Cusack's character does decide to like leave with her, which maybe that's pretty progressive for a movie, because I feel like in a lot of situations like the guy is not considered to be the one who makes compromises in a relationship. So maybe in that sense it was kind of female empowering at the time too.
I think this movie, at least John Cusack's character, did a great job at calling bullshit on all of the unrealistic expectations of the time. You know, with like the bros and the gas and sip, they're talking about how like, you know, this is what a woman really is and this is how you get it. And he's kind of just like, well, if you guys are so good at this, why are you the four of you alone alone on a Friday night drinking. Yeah, and like just like you're saying, like leaving with her rather than it being his dream. Like that's like a bullshit expectation.
Toward the end, doesn't he express to her father after he's incarcerated that he says his job is going to be like being with her? But then also when he's speaking at the dinner table with the rest of the guests, he also discusses how his father was in the army and like that was his father's expectation was that he be in the army as well. I think his explanation was basically very loosely like, that's not for me. Like that's not what I want.
Well, that was another thing you kind of talk about. Like all those kids at my age, like they don't really know what they want to do. They're just making decisions because they have to make a decision. But why do I have to decide right now?
Best scene in the movie, I would have to say, is that airplane scene. Was they're getting on, kind of interacting with each other and showing that she's, I think earlier in the movie they mentioned that she's terrified of flying, and that like really kind of nice interaction between the two makes it very believable and very kind of brings the movie kind of to a point of natural conclusion.
The father's grilling Lloyd about what are you going to do in the future? Like, why are you going to be right for my daughter? What are you bringing to the table? I enjoyed the way that he didn't even try to like make something up to impress him. He just came out with exactly how he felt and totally honest about it and subverted the entire expectation of needing to have life figured out at 19.
I think my favorite scene of the film actually is when John's character brings the letter to her father when he's in the penitentiary for a couple of reasons. One is that I think it kind of exemplified how even though he wasn't like strongly academic and didn't really seem like super intelligent or prepared in life compared to like how the other characters were being like portrayed as being more mature than him or having their act together more, but he was like more capable of like speaking to her father in a difficult situation and like conveying like an emotional maturity and everything. The way that her father in that scene like proved that like he just couldn't even change his mentality about how he looked at things even though he'd been arrested and lied directly to his daughter's face. Like he couldn't even face the own truth of his situation. And then her character showing up. It was kind of an interesting scene because the whole reason he was stealing the money from the folks at the old home was to prepare her so that she wouldn't have to rely on anybody else. But like him doing that made her not want to rely on him. He did what he set out to do, but in the wrong way to do it. That was really a scene where like everybody in the film kind of came together into like what their roles really were by the end. The dialogue in those scenes seemed like really organic, especially like by comparison to like another film we very recently reviewed.
And if you want to catch that, you can click the link right here. That is my favorite part. The guy comes out with the fucking megaphone at the party at the beginning of the movie, and he's like, I was like, so that's how it started.
I'm going to give this film 2 out of 4 possible boom boxes being held over my head.
I'm going to give this film 3 out of 10 subverted expectations.
I'll give this movie a quarter Twinkie, just a quarter Twinkie.
Since I've only seen the first 20 minutes of this movie, I'm going to give it 2 out of a possible 10.
We want to thank Brock Street Espresso for giving this lovely place to shoot these podcasts in. They make wonderful coffee. They're wonderful people, and you should meet them and let them make you coffee.
We'd also like to thank our other sponsor, Manhandler. They're based out of Owenville, and they have very double tasty beer.
You can check out links to last week's episode, which was Ready Player One, and this coming week's episode, which will be She's All That.
And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down and below.
And for those of you who are confused about what the fuck we're talking about, that means you're probably not watching this on YouTube. If you'd like the full experience, please do find us. Our channel is North Brothers. Podcast playlist is I'll See Myself Out.
I think we should all see ourselves out.
I wonder if the audience can tell which ones we've started filming at the beginning and which one we film at the end, because I feel like once we get to 4, I'm fucking out of gas.